Hey everyone, in today's video we are going to go over how to install magnets in your 3D prints. And I hope you don't mind today, I'm wearing my new custom hat that I had made by Blade Hats. I have a link below in their description if you want to get something customized like this. I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, in today's video, I'm going to show you a few ways of installing magnets on your models. If you want to put them together, like for shipping purposes or breakdown purposes, there's many ways to do this. There's a lot of tutorials online, but this is how I do it, so I'm going to pass it along to you. So I had this Punisher model made, and it was 3 torsos that I had done, so I did up 3 different models. And I wanted different heads that were interchangeable on the models. So in order to accomplish this, I just had magnets installed on them. And so that way, if I wanted to swap out the heads for a different one, all I got to do is just pop it on there. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you a couple of ways that I accomplish this. And so that way you can actually have interchangeable parts, heads, weapons, legs, bodies, whatever you want to do on there. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started on that. So the first and easiest way that I found in installing magnets is to actually go ahead and put the hole in the model before you print it. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put the models on the build plate, and I'm going to be using these excess heads here that was made for this custom Punisher model that I had commissioned. And first thing I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to hollow out the heads here with my settings. And let's go ahead and take care of that right now. Okay, now that we've got them all hollowed out here, as you see, we're going to go ahead and determine the size of the magnet that you're going to use. And in this case, I'm going to use a 5mm magnet. Now with these heads and even certain body parts, you don't have to use a huge magnet because it's hollow and it's not a lot of weight to it, and it'll actually keep everything in place. Now on like arms that extend outward and legs that are larger and stuff, yeah, you want to use probably a little bit heavier magnet. But in this case right here, I'm going to go ahead and put the size to this at a 5mm, and then I'm going to go ahead and place it into the holes here. I'm going to go ahead and put right here. And in essence, what you're doing is you're just going to put magnets in your drain holes. But I'm going to go ahead and put an additional drain hole in each of the heads, so that way we don't have any problems with suction or anything. You know what? Let's go ahead and let's put one back here as well. All right, so now you have your 5mm holes in your heads, and it's as simple as just going ahead and putting the supports on, printing out your heads. Simple as that. That is the easiest way I can explain it, probably under a minute, adding holes into your model that you're getting ready to print. Let's check out the final product here. Okay, so here I have all of my tools that I'm going to be using for this project. So for the sake of time, this is the actual raw printed head here. As you can see, it's got those holes in the bottom, and I've got my magnets here. I've got all kinds of different sizes. I've got big ones, I've got medium sized ones, and I've got inky dinky ones. So the other thing that I'm going to need for this is this little handy dandy $20 tool here. Well, look, they're moving by themselves. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm actually going to have to hollow this out a little bit more, even though it printed in 5mm, because of the way resin expands and contracts and everything else. I'm still going to have to hollow this out. It's not a perfect 5mm. So what I'm going to do for the time being, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hollow this out, and then I'm going to see about my magnets fitting into there. Now the one thing that you're going to want to make sure of is you're going to make sure that the polarity is correct in the model that you're putting in, because otherwise when you put this into there, it's going, and you set it down on top of the body and you don't get any contact or whatever like that, it's actually going to push it away because of the polarity is opposite of the magnet inside the head, and that's not good. Now, if you don't have one of these handy dandy multi-tools here, you can use a X-Acto knife, and you can kind of just twist it into the hole, and be careful not to break or split the hole, and you can actually just kind of, you know, hollow that out a little bit better there. But I recommend in having one of these tools here. All right, so I got it hollowed out. It may be just a tad bigger than what I wanted, and that's perfectly fine. But I am going to prep this and sand this down a little bit so it's a little bit smoother, makes better contact with the body. And then I'm going to check the polarity of the magnets. Okay, as you can see, here's my stack of magnets, and this is how I want it connected to the head. So actually, I'm going to make sure that the magnet is actually going in this way here. But that way, everything will fit directly into the head, and it'll actually attach to the body very easily. So two things I'm going to use on this model is I'm going to use some super glue and some accelerant right here, some Instaset. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this magnet into the hole, add a little super glue to it, and use the accelerant to instantly dry it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little super glue around the edges of this thing. I'm going to go ahead and place this in almost all the way through, and I did get the hole a tad bigger than what I wanted to. And then I'm going to hold it right here, and I'm going to drop the damn accelerant in the floor. All right, and then I'm going to use the accelerant. I'm just going to spray down in here. And then pull everything out, and you got the magnet that's in there. Now, in order to keep the magnet in there, what I'll do is I'll actually put a little bit of super glue over it, just a thin layer, kind of spread it around here. And again, I'll spray a little bit more of this accelerant in there. So what that's doing is it's providing a thin coat so the magnet doesn't pop out. And now the moment of truth, to make sure everything fits on there. Voila, there you go. And as you can see, pops right on. Good connection. And this is one of the finished heads. Again, you can go ahead and just voila, and you got interchangeable heads. Now, I use the 3D Grid Infield that I use for all of my models. If you by chance happen to be one of those that likes supports running through your models, then actually the supports will actually benefit in this case, because what will happen is the supports will actually come up all the way through the model, and you'll actually have something the magnet can actually back onto and not fall all the way through. So it's much easier that way. That is one of the advantages of having supports all the way through your model. Now let's go ahead and look into if you have a model that actually has no holes or a hole too small. Now, if you have a problem in putting the magnet into the model, keeps falling through, I have a solution for you on that one. There's two things that you can do. You can use some sort of like epoxy or some type of resin type substance to actually clog up the hole, or you can use this, a Q-tip. So we'll start out by plugging drain holes. If you don't like to look at those nasty drain holes or whatever like that, and your holes are not like big bulky size, but just enough to like kind of irritate you, then here's a simple solution. Check it out. So in this head right here, I have 3 drain holes, and let's just say I don't want to have them in there, and I want to plug them up. So you can put epoxy or something to that nature in here, and again, you might be facing the same thing that a magnet will do, and that's possibly fall through. So one thing you can do is use a Q-tip, and what you're going to do is we're going to take some super glue. All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put it all over this Q-tip here, and you can do PVA glue or whatever like that, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and stuff this into this drain hole here about halfway, and you can actually pull it out a little bit if you want, and I'm going to let that dry. And once that dries, we're going to clip that off, and actually you're going to have a nice filled hole. You can take a little bit of epoxy and put over it, and you're good. Now again, you can take some accelerant, spray it on there, instantly dry the outside of it, and then you can just clip this off here, Whoa, there it goes, flying. And look at that. Holes plugged. I mean, you could put a little bit of epoxy over it, or if you want to, and just sand lightly, and it is done. But that hole is solidified. That is hard, and you can sand it. So clogging up drain holes like that would do great. But what about larger holes? Here we go. So like this big, huge mammoth head that I printed here, the other side of this thing has massive drain holes. Let's just say that I wanted to cover these up. I don't, but if I did, another solution that you could use, cotton balls. So pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to insert part of this cotton ball. I would say probably cut it in half, but cut the cotton ball in half. And you can do one of two things. You can use PVA glue, or you can use just regular super glue. And then what you're going to do is just stuff this right here, and you're going to pour the glue inside here. If you have thinner glue, you can just use that and it'll soak it up. If you have the thicker glue or the medium glue like this, you can actually glue this first and then put it in. But either way, it's going to have the same effect. And then once it dries, you can use the accelerant again to make it dry quicker. Or once it dries, you'll be able to cut this top part off here, and then you'll be able to sand it, fill it, however you want to do it. Now here's something that's a little bit more advanced, and you will need to be cautious if you choose this route. And what I'm going to do here is you could take some hemostats or tweezers, and we're actually going to use resin with this. So I have some actual resin in here that I'm going to dab into here and plug this hole. And you will need something to kind of slide into the other drain holes to cure it from the back side. That's what makes it a little bit tricky. But you can go ahead and put this cotton ball in the resin here. And you're going to shove it into this hole here. All right. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cure it from this side, of course. We're going to put more resin into there, but I want to get a good bond on it first. So then I'm going to take my light and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cure this right here. And then I'll take some more of that resin and douse right in here. And then I'll cure this right here. All right, and it is cured here on the surface. And like I said, you'll need some sort of like UV strip light or something to actually go inside here to cure it from the other side. Now you don't want to use too much cotton. You want to use just enough to really just sink down probably a couple of millimeters below the hole, and then, you know, cure it on the other side right here, and it will be sandable and your hole is plugged. So the other thing with this right here is, since this is solid and once you got it cured on the other side, it's a solid plug, you can actually use this tool to actually go in and carve out a place here for your magnet just to sit in there. Glue it in there, and you can do it that way. But that's another solution. Now let's talk about epoxy. So from the earlier one, I have this one here that's already plugged up and I've already sanded it, but I still have two more holes that I want to go ahead and plug up, assuming. So what I'm going to do with this one right here, this is probably the easiest one. I'm going to use something like this right here, this light curing putty from Frun Crickle, and I'm just going to go ahead and this stuff just applies onto there, and you're just going to light cure it and sand it down. Just going to take a little bit of this right here, and this stuff just applies right into there like so. Spread it out. Don't put it in too thick because it'll have probably trouble curing all the way through. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to dab it down here, and we're just going to simply cure it with our pen light here. And now that it is cured, it is ready to sand down. Now, of course, these magnets you can get pretty much anywhere. I got a lot of these off of Amazon. I think this one pack was like $9. This one here for the smaller ones was like $8 or $9. I'll put some links below in the description in case you want to order anything through there. And check out my storefront. I have tons of stuff on there that I use in my videos. And of course, I do get a little bit of commission from it if you click on it and order. And now for just general drain holes that you want to plug up like this right here. Like I'm going to have this on a diorama. And I don't want these drain holes right here. So something very, very simple. You could take that brush that you had earlier and take that resin that you had earlier and just kind of dab around the hole itself. And then you can take like a paper towel here. Let's just say you can cut it, you can just do whatever. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this and just cover up this area here. You can take and just soak this up here, brush on a little resin, just do it a little bit at a time. You don't have to go crazy with it. And then you just want to cure it with your pen light. Or in this case, with a piece this big, I would probably use a little bit bigger of a light. And then once you have the first initial layer cured, then you can put an additional layer on if you want, and also cure this. Or you can just go straight to the filler, sand it down or whatever. I always like to add just an extra coat to it just to kind of stabilize it, strengthen the actual paper towel a little bit, or you can use a Kleenex. And as you can see, it is hard. It is ready to sand, or put some filler over it and sand it there, and your drain holes are plugged on that flat surface. All right, everyone, I hope this helped you in installing magnets and plugging up some of those nasty drain holes. This is just some of the ways that I do it. There are many, many ways that you can do this, but I know a lot of people have been asking for a way that's pretty simplistic and easy to follow. And don't forget about my Patreon. Their link is below in the description. We do have Model of the Month every month, and we're up to 3 models now, I think. So go over and check it out. You join the first month, you get any 2 models from my catalog that you want. And that is if you join the $10 tier, and we've got some bangers over there. If you don't believe me, go and check some of them out. And again, if the Patreon is not for you, then just subscribe and like. Okay, everyone, until next time, stay safe out there, get out and create something, print, prep, paint, repeat, wear cool hats, and until the next video, we'll see you. So I wonder if I can get one of these made with a hat on, just like this. Oh, you don't know why? And now you know.